right, welcome back. What is this, episode 4?
Episode 4.
Episode 4, that's exciting. Well, if you're just joining us, just finding us, my name is Joey Ruff, and I'm the resident alcohol enthusiast, I guess, of the group. I've been a bartender for a long time, and I own a bar now, and my wife and I, and yeah, we have a good time, and we like to talk about alcohol and how it can work with other things.
Yeah.
Like...
I am Joseph Reibold, local IT manager, tech enthusiast, and all things alcohol enthusiast as well. And in fact, today we get to do something or try something that I've never had before, which is fantastic. That means I get to broaden my horizons.
Yes.
And what are we broadening my horizons with?
Oh, today, my friend, today is Gin Day.
Okay.
Your topic and gin kind of go hand in hand, and we'll explore that a little bit after you give us a little history.
Yeah.
On the tech topic of the day. As far as gin goes, the little bit of history here, gin actually goes back to the Middle Ages.
Oh, okay.
Pretty old, and juniper was believed to be a cure-all and a medicine, and they gave it to people for everything from, I don't know, stomach aches to the bubonic plague.
Oh, wow.
So if you can imagine, trying to drink this when you had COVID, that would have been that would have been fantastic. Of course, in the 17th century, it kind of it took over in the Netherlands. It became a little bit more of what you would expect gin to be today, through some Dutch that helped out with England and ended up settling in England. It came to England, and London dry gin, Tanqueray, is a very very popular thing. And the Brits like to drink their gin a lot, just like us Americans like to drink our whiskey. So it's definitely not going to be for everybody. What you're going to notice are a lot of floral and spices and things like that. What I've got here, since you've never had it before, in this whiskey snifter, it's almost a sin, is just a small pour, maybe a half ounce of just a regular floral gin, just so you can try it before we start trying the cocktails that it goes in. So you notice on the nose.
Yep, it smells medicinal.
It smells like walking through a pine forest. Oh, it tastes like floor cleaner.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're spraying some floor cleaner or Lysol or something like that.
That's what it is. Yeah. So, kind of crazy. So that's what basic gin is going to be like. And of course, lots of cocktails come out of it. We're going to do 3 today.
Okay.
The first one goes back to the 20s, back during Prohibition, when of course distilleries weren't really making spirits anymore, except for medicinally. Some bourbon distilleries were. But gin was, if you've ever heard the term bathtub gin.
Okay.
People made gin in their bathtubs. And which is crazy to me. I'm going to try that one day. So what we have in front of us is a Prohibition-era cocktail. This is called the Bee's Knees, and it is infused with lemon and honey simply for the fact that bathtub gin tasted probably about what you would expect it to taste like. And so the honey and the lemon were added to make it palatable and disguise the bathtub flavor.
Okay. So this is alcoholic lemonade currently.
Pretty much. Not as sweet. Well, I guess it's honey, so it is a little sweeter, but yeah.
Certainly more palatable than that.
Absolutely. A lot less like a floor cleaner. A lot more like a summertime. And that's one thing I've been doing a lot lately, is exploring more of the Prohibition era cocktails. It's a lot, cocktails weren't really around before that, at least not to the degree they are today, and a lot of modern cocktails came from that era. So starting here felt like the right spot and a really good jumping off point for gin.
Yeah, and I think that's nice because, the first thing we're going to talk about, tech topic today, is Internet of Things, connected chaos, which kind of blends in the last 3 episodes that we've done.
Okay.
The first episode we had evolution of smartphones and cellular. The second episode we had body tech and wearables, and then the third episode was smart homes.
Yep.
Well, now the Internet of Things, we're going to take everything and put it together.
Okay.
So when I get going here, I'm going to be talking about the history, which is kind of nice because you've brought in kind of a historical type drink from Prohibition era. So that's kind of neat. I like being able to not just drink the drinks that are on everybody's bar menu, but going back in time a little bit to see. I mean, first episode we did was classic old fashioned.
Absolutely.
And while that's on, all the bar menus, that takes us back in time a little bit. So that's pretty nice. And this is pretty good. I don't know that it replaces bourbon for me.
I did cheat a little bit on this one because modern gins, or one of the more modern things to develop around gin, is barrel-aged gin.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually, I did this one with a bourbon barrel-aged gin out of the New Riff Distillery in Kentucky. I've really enjoyed their bourbon lately, so I thought I'd give their gin a try. And in this cocktail, it's actually really good.
It is, yes.
So this one is a more bourbon-centric gin, if you will.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. So lead us into the Internet of Things. It seems like a really weird term.
Yes.
The internet is its own thing. So talk about a little where that term came from.
Okay. So first, let's go back to 1969. Okay. That is the introduction of ARPANET. ARPANET is the precursor, so to speak, for the internet.
Okay.
The internet that we know and love today is nothing like the 1960s ARPANET. And ARPANET was not designed for emails and device connections and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't designed for what we use the internet for today. I mean, cat videos was the last thing on their mind. But it was designed to try to bring some subtle communication between people at work, and specifically military use was really high at the time.
Okay.
And so they kind of generated this thing that they've called ARPANET, and then ARPANET just continued to grow. More people said, let's make this bigger. We have more things we need to do with this. But if you would have asked anybody in the 1960s, hey, I want to make my phone talk to my car, and then make my car talk to my garage, and then my garage needs to communicate with the people at work so that they know if I'm running a few minutes behind. Like that concept would have been way out of left field. I mean, it's like aliens or some other is it or is it not conspiracy thing.
I'm wearing my Bigfoot shirt today, so let's say it is conspiracy.
So 1969, that's great, ARPANET. Then in the 1980s, at Carnegie Mellon University, or Mellon University, they did something in the computer science department that was just a little bit different. There was a particular individual who was a student, and he worked in the computer science department. He had an office that he was in, and he really wanted to know, before he got up out of his chair, whether or not there was a Coke in the Coke machine.
Okay.
If there was a Coke in the Coke machine, was that Coke cold? It took him about 4 minutes to walk from his office to the Coke machine. That 4 minutes, if he got there and there was no Cokes and or the Coke wasn't cold, would be disappointing.
Sure.
And then you got 4 minutes walking back, and your head is low.
Breaks your train of thought and all that.
So much goes into going to get a Coke.
Yeah.
He said,
disappointed from your seat if somehow you knew before you got up.
Well, so he said, I'm going to develop this method of identifying if there's a Coke that is in there and if it's cold.
It's called a little brother.
Yeah. So he developed this digital little brother that he was able to, based on the lights on the Coke machine, determine if the Coke machine had been filled up and how long it had been since the last person got it. So was the Coke cold? And then there were 6 different, I think, Cokes in this machine, and he was able to determine for each of those 6 flavors, whatever they were, whether or not it was in the machine. So then he starts passing this information along to the other buddies that he's got in the science department, computer science department.
Yeah.
So they continue to expand it. They get it growing a little bit more. Then they connect it, because the only way this works is if they connect what they put on the Coke machine to their computers.
Sure.
So now they've created a network between the Coke machine and their computers, which means now they were able to see it remotely from their desk. Okay, so a couple computer science buddies, they're all doing this. They develop these things, and then they get a new Coke machine. And actually, what's funny is they got a new Coke machine. They couldn't, retrofit it with all the kind of changes they wanted to make. Then Coke said, or the distributor for their Coke said, hey, if you keep making changes to our machine, we're not going to come and refill it. So what they would do is they would make a change, put some tech in it, do whatever they were going to do. And then when the distributors were going to come to do some kind of service call, or the vendors were going to do a service call, they would take all those changes out, revert it back to normal. Then guys would come, they'd do their service call, whatever it was, and then they'd put all their stuff back in so that they continue to do it. And they actually took it upon themselves to restock it themselves so that they didn't have to call the Coke distributors out. So that's kind of the first introduction into taking a thing and bringing a network into it.
Okay.
1990, there was a guy named John Romke and Simon Hackett, and they modified a toaster to connect, to control power to the toaster, turn it on and off via the internet.
Okay.
So now we've gone from a Coke machine to a toaster to now let's grow this thing bigger. Well, Internet of Things. Where's that term come from? 1999, there's a guy named Kevin Ashton. He coined that term, Internet of Things, while doing a presentation while he was working at Procter & Gamble. And the presentation was about connecting RFID tags to the internet. So an RFID tag has a little bitty radio frequency identification tag, is what it is. Sure. It's got a little bitty radio in it, and it can communicate with, typically it's short distances, but there are some RFID tags that can go long distances. But he did this presentation to Procter & Gamble while he was working there.
RFID. Isn't that what do you remember that game Skylanders?
I don't.
With those little figures on the thing and they jump into the game and anyway, I think somebody said RFID was how that worked, but
it could be. Yeah, it could be. Okay, so 1999, turn of the century, we've got 2000. LG launches the first smart refrigerator.
Okay.
That refrigerator, it was internet connected. The concept or the goal behind it was, let's take your grocery lists and connect your grocery lists that you have to your refrigerator so that the two things can communicate to each other.
I love that idea. There's so many times we're at the grocery store and we're like, do we need milk?
Yeah.
If we just pull up our phone and look into the fridge and be like, our milk is good, but the date's bad.
Yep. Yeah, right. So there was a webcam inside of the refrigerator that allowed you to see what was on the shelves.
Love this idea.
There was food and content tracking for your refrigerator.
Okay.
You could do notes, you could do schedules, you could do video messages. It even had an MP3 player on it for you to play music. I'm sure it wasn't fantastic audio. But then you could do online recipes as well. So that's 2000.
There's a movie called Pop Star with Andy Samberg. And do you remember when U2 dropped their latest album, like forced down to everybody's iPhones?
No.
No? You don't remember that? Everybody hated U2 for a while because of that. It was free through Apple Music, and it automatically appeared on everybody's phones, and nobody wanted it. And this movie Pop Star, they took that kind of concept, but his latest single ends up dropping to everybody's smart refrigerators. And so every time they'd open the door, it would play a song. And so people are getting really mad about it. And it's hilarious. So,
okay, so real quick. So far, we have had one person who has inputted a name for us.
Okay.
At least as far as us, to date of us recording this episode. We've had one person, and their suggestion is Cameron. Spelled Camryn.
Okay.
So I'm liking that thus far.
Cameron. Yep.
The question for those of you viewers, is Cameron the go-to name, or do we have any other suggestions?
We need somebody to yell at when it zooms in on us automatically
Mm-hmm.
or goes out of focus or whatever.
Yeah. Which, sorry about that for the last episode, but maybe you should not wear your drunk goggles while you're watching YouTube.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Doesn't help.
We were in focus. Whoever was watching it, they went out of focus.
Yes, that's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, they were just a little tipsy, you know.
Yep.
Anyways, so 2008, 2009. At this point, the number of things connected to the internet has now exceeded the number of people connected to the internet.
Makes sense.
I
probably have about 15 things on my own connected to the internet.
Yeah. So, there's lots of things that we have connected to the internet just all throughout time. But 2008 to 2009 is finally when the number of things exceeded the number of people.
Okay.
So, if you're thinking about the number of things connected to the internet, what's super important then is 2011, they went from addressing Internet of Things with IPv4 addresses to IPv6 addresses. I mentioned that last week when we were talking about Matter, because IPv6 has 340 undecillion. That's 340 with 36 zeros behind it.
I have no idea what undecillion is. I'm just feigning surprise.
Yeah. 36 zeros behind it.
Okay.
That is enough addresses that you could address every atom on this earth and still have enough addresses left over for other earths.
And of course you mean atoms as in molecules.
Yeah, ATOMS.
I'm saying, because I'm pretty sure like Wong is the #1 name in the world.
Oh, yeah. No.
not atom.
Not
There's
atom,
36
ADAM.
undecillion atoms.
Yes,
since the Garden of Eden.
ATOM. So, in thinking about that, an IPv4 address is 32 bits. So you could only have 4.3 billion devices connected to it. Well, we exceed that for sure.
Okay.
But 34 undecillion, we're not going to hit that number. At least not until we start, leaving Earth to go to other planets.
That's like Oprah levels of money right there. Undecillion.
Yeah. So speaking of 2011, that is the introduction of the Google Nest thermostat. Okay, so we take the history that we've just talked about, 1969 to 2011, and we have really made major changes from beginning to, we'll say, end in 2011.
Sure.
And then from 2011 onward, it's every company is going to try to do something that's Internet of Things related.
Okay.
And we'll talk about different ways that they did that in a little bit, but I think it's just super interesting to know that back in the day, you didn't have devices that were smart. You didn't have devices connected to the internet.
Right.
Now it seems like everything can be connected to the internet. And what's interesting about that is even if you have a device that isn't smart or that isn't connected to the internet, there are accessories that you can get for that device, whether it's built for that device or not, to make it part of your smart system or part of the Internet of Things.
Sure.
An example of that, we talked about smart homes last week, is there are certain sensors that you can put on your washing machine that are vibration sensors that you can then connect to your smart home to know when your dumb washer is done with its cycle.
Interesting.
You can use the same thing on a recliner to know when you've popped your recliner up. And then control your smart home to turn the lights off and the TV on. There's all kinds of functionality that you can introduce smart sensors to dumb things in order to bring it into the Internet of Things.
Smart homes, dumb people, right?
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of history, in the old days, if your lights flickered and the TV turned on automatically, you would call a priest. Nowadays, you check your Wi-Fi signal and reboot the router.
I would call Egon and Ray, sir. That's funny.
Okay, so that's the history.
Good.
And with the finalization of the history, I'm going to finalize this drink.
Absolutely, because I already need another one. All right, and we are back with cocktail number 2.
Number 2.
We started off with the early days of cocktails.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, even if you're not a gin drinker,
Mhm.
everybody has heard, whether it's movies, TVs, your Aunt Sally, whatever, gin and tonic, right? Probably the most popular gin drink of all time. I wouldn't call it a cocktail, it's a mixed drink.
Yeah.
Pretty much just gin and tonic with ice in a tall glass like this. This is essentially a gin and tonic, but we added a little bit more to kind of jazz it up and make it a little bit more flavorful, a little more modern take on it. We've got a couple of cocktails here that we do in our bar. One is called the Ginny Lind, which uses lingonberries and lime and gin, because Jenny Lind, the opera singer, was from Sweden, and so lingonberry is a Swedish berry. So we do that. That's kind of a more modern cocktail. We have another one, like a pear gin fizz, which is really, really good. Pear and gin blends beautifully together. And so, and I guess now, I kind of teased it earlier, but the reason we're doing gin here with the IoT, the Internet of Things, is because gin is basically, once it's made, it's basically a neutral spirit. Similar to it like a vodka. But then they infuse it with all these complicated things that really sound crazy, like the juniper, like the herbs and the spices and things like that. And kind of at the end of the day, what shouldn't really work together and flow really works together and flows, and everything talks together and makes this big, beautiful, complex thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're talking about putting sensors, smart sensors into dumb recliners and things like that. You're putting, weird, sophisticated herbs and things into this baseless, dumb spirit, and you get something that is a little bit more complex. It's greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
If you will. And so that's kind of why I thought gin would work with the Internet of Things, because it's an intelligent spirit on its own, and then even things like tonic. This cocktail is, I think it's a gin and juniper, and so the juniper obviously is in it, but it's tonic water, it's elderflower liqueur, a little bit of lime juice, and so all of that on its own. Elderflower, very strong, very perfumey, kind of flavor and aroma. The tonic, we tasted off camera, kind of like licking the underside of a shoe. If you're not, that's not what I said earlier, but that's a more sensible way of saying it. But you have all these very strong flavors, and when you put it together, it's light, it's refreshing, it's delicious. You still get a lot of that. The first flavor I get is that elderflower. It's almost like licking Aunt Sally with her over perfumed Macy's stuff, and but then it kind of mellows out. You get a little bit of the citrus, you get a little bit of the spice from the gin, and it really just kind of works. In a way that it shouldn't work. So and I think that is why this is the Internet of Gins.
The internet of gins.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Uh,
So,
Drinking that and tasting that. First time I've ever had gin in a cocktail.
yeah.
It kind of makes me think of the aftertaste you get when you're eating apple slices.
Okay. I would even go so far because my second sip, I'm like, it's very grapefruity.
Yeah.
So I like grapefruit. I
Mhm.
like grapefruit with a ridiculous amount of sugar on it.
Yeah.
This has none of that. There's no sweetening in this at all.
Okay.
And my wife would probably love it because she's big on just grapefruit by itself, and she pities me because I have to have sugar. But I'm the unhealthy one in the relationship. But this is actually like on a hot day. It is not hot out today.
Yeah.
It is the middle of January and it is brutally cold today.
That's true. Yes.
But that would be a good summer sipper. Very refreshing. And it's got that grapefruit peel in it. So it's chef kiss.
Maybe that's the thing. The peel kind of adds to that fruity flavor.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I'm getting the apple slices, because
Sure.
the after effects of an apple slice, you're getting the peel of the apple in it, or the skin of the apple in it. That's a good drink. I am not sure that I would order that as a regular drink, but every few months, I think I could order that and say, what, let me get one of those.
This is the kind of drink that you use the order to maybe impress a girl.
Yeah.
Or, make Aunt Shirley pass out in her sofa at Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So,
Okay,
whatever.
so you said it was similar to the gin and tonic. What is the name of this drink?
Gin and Juniper.
Gin and Juniper.
Gin and I'm consulting my notes off camera. Yeah. Juniper and Tonic. I'm
Juniper
sorry.
and tonic.
Gin and Juniper rolled off my tongue a little better.
Yeah.
But yeah, gin, elderflower liqueur, lime juice, and tonic water. We will have the recipe in this video and possibly in the notes. So
Yep.
if you want to try it and drink along, we encourage it. But as always, drink responsibly.
Feel free to pause the video and go make your own cocktail, and then come back and in the comments let us know what you thought.
Yes.
Speaking of Juniper, though, we are not sponsored by Juniper Networks. However, Juniper, if you see this video, feel free to send us equipment or send us software, and we will test your stuff and then throw our input into a later video.
And pour gin on it.
Yes. Well, you send us a demo kit, we might just pour alcohol on it. Or drink alcohol while we're playing with it.
Yeah, hey, why not? All right, so we talked about the history of IoT. Where do we go from here?
Well, let's just talk about IoT, Internet of Things.
Yeah.
What is IoT? In layman's terms, essentially, it is a way of digitally connecting the physical things around us. Okay, I mentioned earlier the recliner. I mentioned earlier the washing machine.
Yeah.
Those are physical things around us, and now we're going to digitally connect them to a network.
Sure.
That network in our homes is going to be probably our Wi-Fi, maybe our Zigbee or Z-Wave systems that we set up last week.
Sure.
But it could be other things. Your smart automobile may be out on the road, and it may not be connected to your smart home. It'd be connected to something else potentially, maybe a satellite. If it's Tesla, it's talking to Starlink, whatever.
Sure.
But IoT is basically taking things around us and connecting them in a digital way to each other.
Okay.
Typically, you have 4 different aspects of IoT. That's going to be your hardware, it's going to be your data, it's going to be software, and your connectivity.
Okay.
Your physical device collects the information. Maybe that's a sensor.
Okay.
It then, information being the data side, it then sends it to software to process that information.
Okay.
And then we share it to other devices. The IoT does nothing if we don't share that information from one device to another. There are also 4 basic layers to IoT. That's going to be your IoT devices, they're going to use something like MQTT, something like HTTP. Later videos, we may talk about what those two things are.
MQTT. I know HTTP because it's in all the web addresses, but
yep.
MQTT is not something I know.
Same thought process. You know, MQTT and HTTP are both protocols or communication efforts.
They get harder to say the more we drink too.
Yeah, yes, they do. Here's a game for you. Drink 2 cocktails and then say a bunch of 3-letter acronyms or 4-letter acronyms that are related to networking.
That sounds like a great Friday night.
Yes. Okay, so that's layer 1.
Yeah.
Layer 2 is the IoT gateway or aggregation layer.
Okay.
You have both. So you take all the information from the devices and then you aggregate them together in some other device. Most of the time that's a hub or a gateway for IoT devices. Okay, layer 3 is the processing engine or the event processing layer. That can happen both in the cloud or on the edge. A smart car, for example, isn't going to request information from the cloud if it sees a pedestrian to stop.
Okay.
Because if you're driving a smart car at 60 miles an hour and you have to first communicate to, Tesla servers before you make a stop when you see a pedestrian, no. Yeah. You're going to hit that pedestrian and it's going to be bye-bye.
Right.
Instead...
Unless you're using Zigbee. Z-Wave.
Yeah. So in this case, you're using edge computing, meaning on the edge. So you have things that happen at home base, and then you have things that happen on the edge of your home base.
Gotcha.
So that the device itself makes a smart decision to say, I see something I should not hit, stop the car. That's edge computing.
Yep.
And it's not limited to cars. It's every device that's out there. We have some cameras that do edge computing that we sell. That the edge computing says, hey, we see a thing, we're going to do a thing based on the thing we see.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's motion detection will cause an input or output I/O on the camera to trigger.
Yep.
So then we can trigger speakers and all this stuff without having to go back to the server, Okay, so that is the difference, edge processing versus cloud processing. Why would we want edge processing? It's going to save you in your delay. You don't have as much delay, as much latency.
It's going to save the little girl that's ball runs out in front of the street.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing it does is because it doesn't have to take as long to communicate back to home, it saves on battery a little bit.
Okay.
Which is very nice.
Sure.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3 layers.
Okay.
Layer 4 is going to be your application layer or your API management, which is going to be your dashboard, it's your management interface, it's your web portal. That's the thing that we see.
Okay.
So you may have, for an example, some application on your phone that talks to the certain devices that you're using, smart devices.
Sure.
And that application is going to be your layer 4 that you see.
So basically, if you're driving in this instance and your car stops, it will then tell you why it stopped.
Yeah, tell you why it stopped.
Like on the dashboard, it'll be like, hey, there was a kid there.
Yeah, object detected or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about IoT devices being layer 1. There are, we'll say, 2 different kinds of devices for layer 1. You have general devices, and then you have sensing devices.
Okay.
Okay, sensing devices are going to be, what it sounds like, sensors. Some kind of detection of motion, presence, humidity, temperature, location, speed, balance, like a gyroscope, etc., etc. I mean, just anything that you can think of, we can measure that thing.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a sensing device. But a general device is going to be an appliance or hardware that does something with the information.
Okay.
For an example, you have a sensor in your thermostat that determines what the temperature is in your house.
Okay.
Your thermostat itself is the general device that does something with that sensor's information.
Tells my thermos, my thermos, yeah, because I'm drinking coffee.
Yeah.
My furnace to kick on.
Yes, exactly.
That's alcohol, people.
Mm-hmm.
Turns thermoses into furnaces. It's alchemy.
So then, besides your general devices and sensing devices, you're going to have an actuator. An actuator is kind of the device in the middle that allows for that communication between sensors and machines. It is also the thing that does the physical action. For an example, a motor that opens a valve.
Okay.
That's going to be, if you know anything about mechanics, there is typically actually a piece called an actuator that is actually what relays the information from maybe your PLC or your control board over to your device to lift that motor or open that vent or whatever it may be.
Sure.
So that's your actuator. So if you think about all the devices that you can have, and you think about all of the layers and the aspects of IoT, what are the applications? Everything from smart homes, which we talked about last week, wearables, which we talked about 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
automotive, agriculture and farming, shopping, grids, cities, healthcare. If it's an application you can think of in the real world, IoT can do something with it.
Okay.
Along with your physical layers, and this is important, and along with the 4 layers of IoT and the aspects of IoT, there is another little aspect that's kind of off to the side. It's going to be your device management platform. Okay, that platform is super important because it's where the assets communicate with software layer through network gateways. Why is that important? Because that's where you're going to do your firmware upgrades. That's where you're going to do your security patching, your metric reports, and your alert mechanisms. All of that is super critical to making sure that you're going to stay secure, making sure that you're going to stay connected. With all of those things that we've just talked about, there is also how do we connect the Internet of Things? We have a couple different methods. One is USB. Everybody knows you plug a USB cable into your computer and you make a thing do a thing.
Sure.
Maybe that's a printer, maybe it's a camera, maybe it's, whatever.
External hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have CAN protocols. More on that in just a second. You have Modbus. Also more on that in just a second. Wi-Fi, which we talked about. LoRa and Zigbee, which we also talked about. Okay. CAN is going to be your serial communication between any kind of device. Think of this probably more right now in industrial environments. That's where you're going to see a little bit more of that serial communication. But then another point about CAN is it doesn't need a central host in order to run. You can have CAN protocols that allow for communication device to device, which is important in an industrial application.
Sure.
Modbus similarly can communicate either serial or Ethernet. It tends to be master client server models. In other words, it tends to be that you take your end device, communicate to a server via Modbus communication, and then that server tells the client what to do.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then LoRa is long range. It's big L, little o, big R, big A.
Okay.
So long range wireless communication, specifically for IoT devices.
Gotcha.
It makes it battery friendly and efficient. This kind of long range communication can be 15 plus kilometers. That's 9 miles here in the States.
Wow.
In rural areas. So, rural areas not obstructed by metal and skyscrapers and that kind of thing.
Sure. Just cows.
Yeah.
Goes right through a cow. It's fine.
That's right. And it uses an unlicensed radio band for things like farming and asset tracking and infrastructure monitoring.
Sure.
You think about maybe you want to have a little RFID tag that's on your trailer, and your trailer is being driven by a truck from field to field to field. Now you can track that trailer and where it's at.
Okay.
And that is kind of the different ways you can connect to things. Of course, we talked about Zigbee last week. We talked about Z-Wave and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Those are also other connectivity protocols that you can use for things like smart homes.
Yeah.
But this is taking your smart homes and taking it to a long range method, or taking it to a industrial method. Modbus is pretty big and used to be pretty big in the industrial environments. And after break, we will talk a little bit more about industrial IoT, something that we called in Industry 4.0. That was a couple years ago. We're now to Industry 5.0, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we're gonna kill this drink and get a refresh, and we will come back with cocktail number 3 and a little bit more Internet of Things.
There we go.
All right, and we are back with round 3.
Round 3.
So, round 3. Now, we did Prohibition era classic cocktails. We did a more modern twist on a gin cocktail. This one is more of like your go-to gin staple.
Okay.
Okay. So when you think of gin cocktails, you're gonna think, we already talked gin and tonic. You're gonna think maybe like a gin martini. Okay. Those are very both super gin heavy, not a lot to hide the flavor of the gin. Those are very gin forward drinks. This one in your hand, in my hand, this is a Tom Collins. So it's a little bit not dissimilar to a Bee's Knees. You have all the basic staples. You've got the gin, you've got the lemon juice, you've got a sweetener in here, which in this case we did simple syrup instead of the honey syrup.
Okay.
And of course, simple syrup is just equal parts sugar and water. We talked about that a little bit in the last episode with building your home bar.
Yeah.
Honey syrup, if you wanted to do a Bee's Knees at home, honey syrup is just, instead of sugar, equal parts honey and water.
Okay.
And just kind of put it on the stove, low simmer, just till it combines. You know, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to get a crazy boil. And then it keeps in the fridge for, you know, a week or so.
Okay.
Maybe more. Sugar's a preservative, so no big deal. And then we put it in a rocks glass, a Collins glass, fill it with ice, and top it with a little bit of club soda.
Okay.
So it's going to get you a little bit of bubbly. You got to be careful. Carbonated drinks absorb faster. So if you're drinking something with a bubbly, you're going to feel it faster than, say, just a straight flat gin, like a gin martini. You know, it's the bubbles that'll get you.
Yeah.
So
I, for a New Year's party one time, had probably, I don't know, a dozen bourbons through the length of the night. Did not have a problem at all. Where I had the problem was at midnight, I drank a small glass of champagne.
Yeah.
And that bubbly took every bit of that bourbon that I had and just made me feel like crap all the next day.
Oh, yeah.
So note to self: don't drink bubbly with other things.
That's right. That's right. And similarly, French 75. Also a great Prohibition era cocktail, gin forward, topped with champagne.
Okay.
So same kind of concept. You're gonna get a little bit of that classic, and a lot of people have heard of a French 75. It's a great drink, but yeah, you got to be careful when you introduce the bubbly. It's gonna hit you heavier.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit you faster. It's gonna maybe kind of like a 1-2 punch, get you where you don't expect it, and you will feel it. So, we do definitely advocate drink responsibly, drink
Yeah.
safely. If you're gonna go out somewhere and have a really good time with the intent of, some people show up to our bar and they're like, I'm getting hammered tonight, and I'm like, do you have a ride home?
Yeah.
Because that is the first thing. We want you to have a good time, but we want you to come back.
Mhm.
So we want you to come back to this podcast. We want you to explore different things with us, get home safely, maybe just use this opportunity as an opportunity to add gin to your home bar.
Yeah.
So most of the drinks we've had here, you can add to your home bar with just a bottle of gin. You need an elderflower liqueur with the second drink that we had, but the bee's knees, if you got honey, you got lemon juice, easy.
Yeah.
This one, honey, or not honey, lemon juice, simple syrup, club soda, gin, easy.
Mhm.
So home bar kind of stuff. Drink at your leisure. If you're not going anywhere, enjoy a night in, watch a movie, all that stuff. Rewatch our podcasts.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit about the Internet of Things. It's all good. So.
Yep. Well, cheers to that.
Yes, sir. That's a good one. It's very refreshing. It's a little bit, feels a little lighter than the bee's knees,
Mhm.
because you have the ice and the water from that, and then you have
Yeah.
the club soda, which kind of just makes it a little bit more of a summer sipper.
Yeah.
So
I drink a lot of bourbon, whiskey, beer. To this day, I haven't drank a lot of gin.
mhm.
I think I could add gin to my repertoire, as it may
Yeah.
be.
And this one, to the bourbon point, we did go back to a barrel-aged gin on this
Yeah.
one. So the previous one with elderflower, we used just a straight gin, very botanical, a lot of flavor, a lot of grapefruit. This one, barrel-aged, we're getting more of a balanced, more in your wheelhouse
Yeah.
kind of flavor. So, yeah.
I like it. And you guys at home may look at this and think, man, there seems to be a theme. The theme is that we both love bourbon and barrel-aged drinks. So this kind of fits in there with the barrel-aged gin.
And when we get to tequila, we'll tell you the bourbon side of tequila as well.
Hey, I like it.
Cinco de Mayo's coming.
It doesn't feel like it right now when you walk outside and you feel the brisk wind, but
Oof.
it's coming one day. It'll be La Bambas and
Yep.
margaritas and
Absolutely.
all things tacos.
That'll be so good. Let's get some tacos after this.
That sounds so good right now.
We're in a
All right.
town that has 3 Mexican restaurants. So what do? You get tacos.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
Yep. Okay, so we'll just dive right back into where we left off as far as technology, and we'll talk about. I kind of briefly mentioned it, or foreshadowed, but the industrial IoT. Some people would put an acronym for IIoT. That can be labeled as Industry 4.0. And that it's 2026. It's kind of Industry 5.0 now. We'll talk about that in just a second, but 4.0, the idea, and why is this relevant to people at home? It's maybe not, except for the fact that I work in a lot of automotive industries. I work in manufacturing facilities, and I'm in and out of a lot of places. And manufacturing is really big into industrial IoT, and there's a reason for that. So the reason for that is it is the connection of the machines and devices in manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, farming, anything that's kind of industrialized or manufacturing process that is kind of where you're going to see this industrial IoT concept, or Industry 4.0. It's going to make decisions in real time. It's not based on past reports. For an example, previously in industry, you would, make a lot of parts. Let's say it's an automotive factory.
Sure.
You'd make a lot of parts, and then 2 days later, you would finally have this report of the number of parts you made and how many defects there were.
Okay.
Well, in IoT, you take that 2 days later part of it and get rid of it. Because now in real time, you're going to understand the defects you have, do something with that information, and then start your manufacturing line to process, knowing that information about the defects, to make a more efficient part the next time.
Okay.
There's kind of the idea of artificial intelligence and machine learning, which started in the early 2010s with Industry 4.0.
Yep, and Skynet.
Yeah, and Skynet. And it was kind of taking AI and machine learning and in real time determining the kind of changes it needed to make to the manufacturing process.
Sure.
So that means, oh, I saw a defect. Oh, I saw a defect a second time for the second part. Let's do something about it. In other words, let's stop the process, or let's adapt the process, or change something about the process, because something has obviously happened. Now you've got 2 defects in a row. Sometimes you might have a defect just because of user error or whatever. Maybe you placed the part in the wrong spot, and so this thing happened that was mislocated. But in this case, you got 2 times in a row, and the IoT says, hey, we found a problem. It's occurred more than once. Let me tell the operator about it so he can right now fix it, instead of running 300 parts and then fixing it. Or running all the parts for a day and then fixing it next shift, because that's when you got your report. That's kind of the idea behind industrial IoT.
Okay.
There's also another thing called digital twin, which makes a digital replica of the actual physical process that's happening, that allows for real-time testing. It allows for doing testing without process intervention. It allows for testing without safety concerns, because now you can take the real-world process, stick it in a computer, and make a little tweak here and there. And in the industrial manufacturing process, if you make a tweak and there is a person there that is not aware of the tweak, there could be a safety concern. I mean, just little things like changing the speed of your saw while you're cutting something. The operator's maybe not used to that.
Sure. So
changing that speed of the saw may increase efficiency as far as moving parts along, but now your operator is at risk because they didn't know that the speed was going to change, and they're trying to cut something that is now moving at some speed greater than what they're used to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how different parts of industrial IoT allows for more efficiency, which then allows for more of the bottom dollar. We ask, why does IoT matter? IoT matters because it can save you money. It can, in the industrial field, manufacturing processes, agriculture, things of that nature, it can save you.
Cameron.
Yeah. How dare you, Cameron? It can save you money because now you're more efficient. Now you find the ways that you can make shortcuts without shortcutting your people. It finds an area where you could maybe, maybe you're going on the factory floor in a forklift and you turn left to go around a station, but IoT, after time, analyzes your behavior and says, hey, if you turn right after that, then you actually cut part of the process down, because now you're coming from a different direction and you can unload your pallets on a forklift.
Okay.
Or whatever it may be. So IoT becomes efficient, it becomes cost saving, and that's why it's so important in manufacturing facilities. Okay, but let's go out of industrial.
Okay.
Let's just say in general. The estimation is around 22 billion devices currently, and estimated by 2030 to be 40 billion devices connected to IoT.
Mm.
We talked about the applications of IoT earlier, where we said healthcare, where we said agriculture, we talked about farming. There are so many different applications for IoT that go outside of the industrial manufacturing process, that we're going to have so many devices connected, 40 billion devices by 2030, that, and that's conservative reports.
Mm.
If technology advances at the estimation, there are some reports that say a prediction of 100 billion devices by 2030.
Wow.
Whether or not we get there, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's an estimation that is much higher for 2025 than what actually was produced in 2025. But, there's a little bit of hesitation for IoT.
Okay.
Or has been in the past. I think that'll probably go away.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll continue to develop all of the neat features and the neat things that we can do with IoT.
Mm.
But when you introduce 40 billion devices, you introduce some security concerns.
Sure.
Because we talked about last week, there's some problems with using Wi-Fi. Because Wi-Fi means those devices are going to talk across the internet to other devices, maybe some central server or logging station at Alexa or Google or Apple or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you throw something across the internet, there is the potential that someone else can grab that information and use it against you.
Sure.
So a lot of people have classified IoT as being insecure by design.
Gotcha.
Because there are so many insecurities for a particular device, and then you throw it into another network full of other devices like that, then you just introduce more and more security concerns and privacy concerns.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about smart homes, people can now get information into your home about things. You don't think, okay, my banking app is secure, but my phone-controlled light may not be. So they hack into your light that is using Wi-Fi, get into your phone, and now they have access to your banking app. So just because the banking app was secure doesn't mean that your light was.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons.
That's terrifying.
We briefly mentioned VLANs and segregation last week. But another reason why, if you can create a VLAN or a separate network for your IoT devices, do that. That way they can't reach into the other things inside of your home, like your phone and your computer that may be accessing the banking stuff.
Yeah.
In 2016, there was an internet outage caused by hackers hacking IoT devices. We're talking internet outage like to a wide area, not just some house, but to a whole distributor of an ISP, because they hacked IoT devices that still had admin passwords set on them. So here's a note. If you have an IoT device, change the password from the admin 12345 or password 123. Don't use your standard, everyday, here's a little password or 123456 to secure your devices. Get a little bit stronger than that. By the way, just for the sake of people's knowledge, passwords are not complex because you use characters. They are complex because you use length. It is more important for you to take a password and add 50 characters, like some kind of phrase, than it is for you to add a capital letter, lowercase letter, and symbol. So if you said, the password is, I like eating cherry pie on Thanksgiving, that is more secure than capital I, L, number 1, K, number 3, CH, number 3, RRY, because it requires more processing time to go through a more number of characters and every combination of those characters for each length.
So you could potentially do password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, exclamation point.
You could.
and that would be pretty secure.
I would introduce some letter in the number part and some number in the letter part, just because complexity is still good. You need to have variety. If you can scan just letters first and then numbers later, computers are smart enough to kind of figure that out. But the longer your password, the better it's going to be.
Password 1234. Password 5678. Password. I lost it. It's Jin's fault.
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12.
I might recommend you don't have the word password anywhere in your password. In fact, if you guys get a chance, just go Google the most common passwords in the world, and you'll be surprised.
Just pick your favorite color and your favorite bourbon and add a couple of weird numbers. Maybe the zip code where your bourbon distillery is.
Yeah.
That's
not the zip code of your house, but where your bourbon distillery is.
Yeah, the bourbon distillery. You can be like Buffalo Trace, whatever the zip code is for Frankfurt. and you'll be fine. That's your password. You're welcome.
Okay, so another security concern for IoT is something called shadow IoT, which is where random people bring in their smart devices and stick it into their work Wi-Fi network without telling the IT team. An example of that is you may be really fond of your smart coffee maker that you can control via your app on your phone, but if you take that thing and stick it into your work break room and control your coffee with it, and you haven't told your IT team that, hey, here's another device that reaches the internet to do things, your IT team is probably going to, number one, be super mad at you, and number two, grimace with a slight smile when they have to talk to you because they're faking the need to be nice to you because you went and did a thing that now creates a super big potential risk for them. Yeah. So
they're gonna hack your network from your coffee pot.
Exactly. So if you're going to work,
don't do that from a bank.
If you're going to work and you're going to take a device that is, an IoT or smart device, let your IT team know. They can make the proper adjustments to their security protocols, but you got to let them know, or else they're not just going to do it. Okay. So we talked about security.
Yep.
We're talking about industrial IoT. Here's another really big concern for IoT.
Okay.
Standardization.
Okay.
That is a big must for future IoT applications. The reason why that is such a big must is you think about, and we talked about Matter last week, but we talked about how Matter was a standard introduced to try to bring different kinds of smart home devices into a standard that allowed them to talk to each other.
Sure.
Standardization, think about all the things that aren't Matter enabled.
Okay.
Maybe that it is that smart coffee maker. Maybe it's that vibration sensor that's on your washing machine. For things to be effective, everything has to communicate to each other. That's one of the reasons why Z-Wave or Z-Wave, last week we talked about, was not the best application to use because it was great for standardizing for all the things that were in that protocol use, but not great for standardizing the communication from Z-Wave devices to other platforms. Matter kind of tries to take care of that and kind of is the in-between between the things that don't work together. So for IoT to be super helpful, we've got to standardize and we've got to find ways to bring all these communication efforts into one platform or a platform that allows that communication. Apple devices, Samsung devices need to operate together in the same house.
Sure.
Because, for an example, like with your family, you have Android.
Yep.
And your wife has Apple.
Yep.
The two things need to be able to communicate to each other.
Both my kids have Apple.
Exactly.
I am the black sheep of the family, and that's fine.
Well, you might be the black sheep of the family, but you're the one doing the smarter thing with the Android.
Smart homes, dumb people, right?
Yeah.
No offense to the family.
So
my family's actually very smart.
People have to not people, devices have to learn to be able to communicate to each other.
Yep.
It does no good if you're communicating with another person and you speak English and they speak French and there's no adjoining words that allow for that communication. You have to talk in the same language before you finally get something across.
Sure. The language of love.
Yes. Actually, that makes me think back to high school. I had the
foreign exchange student.
No,
Oh.
I went to a career and technical center, and we'll say principal of that school came into my tech class in the first couple of days of us starting, 2 or 3 days in. And of course, the class I was in was computer networking. It was a Cisco class, and the principal came in and he said, "Hey, it's great to see you guys here. And every time I think about you guys, I just think about how you're talking about, a new language with binary and all this stuff." He said, "It's a language of love." I'm like, okay, English, French, and Spanish are the 3 languages of love. And now we've introduced binary.
Yeah, and Italian.
Yeah. And so binary now, for those of you who are geeks, is your language of love.
Yep, it's the geek language of love.
And if you're a programmer or developer, it's now your language of hate. And if you're anybody else, it's the language you don't understand.
That's right. It's a foreign language. It's fine.
Yes. All right. So there's standardization. There is, the history. There is the applications. There is the different things that we're going to do with IoT. What are some real world examples? A real world example, especially in this area, in the kind of area I grew up in back home, smart farming might be a really good example.
Okay.
Smart farming allows you to take reports in real time of your crop and then determine if you need to, based on sensors in the soil, add water or not add water to your crop.
Okay.
So you can have some smart irrigation systems that, based on the sensor that says, hey, the soil is dry, it can start your irrigation system to allow water to go to your crop. Now your crop is getting the soil saturation it needs. And then you can have smart farming implements like a combine that is self-driving. And by the way, we do have self-driving combines at this point, but it's a little bit in the future for them to be totally self-driving. They do typically require an operator.
Okay.
But you have a combine that goes into your crop when the sensors say the crop is ready. It can then yield that crop, and then based on the things like how many left-hand turns or right-hand turns the combine is doing, it can analyze the pattern for that field and find a more efficient and faster way of harvesting that yield.
Okay.
So now the next year, the same combine goes into the field and it makes 3 less right turns and 3 more left turns, and now you harvest your crop faster. Then it goes into a granary where all of that crop goes into the granary. It measures how much that yield was into the granary and determines if you need to plant another field next year to fill that granary, or if you've exceeded the input of that granary versus the output of what that granary was for the last 12 months. And now it knows, do you need to go to another field or go to a smaller field to fill that granary? And then, of course, you take what's in the granary and you stick it in a semi-truck and you go to like a feed elevator. And the feed elevator then gives you a price for the load that's on your truck based on the weight. And so every single bit of that IoT is connected. And if you do it right, you can save the farmer, you can save the elevator, you can save the producers or manufacturers of the farming equipment.
Yeah.
Because now they know, okay, instead of a 46-inch deck, let's think of like a lawnmower, instead of a 46-inch deck, we need a 52-inch deck, and it saves us 3 rounds on this yard. So every company, every person, every device now becomes more efficient.
Hmm.
That's where we're going. Real life application of IoT and how IoT can better suit people. If IoT, the Internet of Everything, or the Internet of Things, becomes the Internet of Everything, what do we do when tech does everything for us? When we think about in the future, that technology will be so advanced that we don't have to make all the decisions anymore. Now the
Right.
sensors do. Now the actuators do. Now the internet gateway does.
And then technology decides humans are the weakest link. And then they hunt us down in fields.
Humans at a certain point will become the weakest link.
Yes.
I think we can hopefully keep our technology from hunting us down.
Maybe not. We'll see. I
But-
mean, you got to look at prophetic films like Terminator and The Matrix,
Yeah,
and to a lesser degree, Short Circuit, and go from there.
that's true. But I think the moral thing, or the future seeking object, is when technology can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
That means for humans that we can be more creative. We can do things we enjoy.
Like podcasting and drinking.
Yeah. If you can just let your vacuum take care of the house.
Yep.
If you can just let your dishwasher be smart and wash dishes when it's completely full.
Mm-hmm.
If you can let other things take care of the menial tasks in life, that means that we can be more creative. We can enjoy art.
Yes.
We can enjoy humanity. We can enjoy the world around us and go to those places that are beautiful sightseeing locations. We can find new expressions.
The land between the lakes.
We can find new expressions of creativity, including in the land between the lakes.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
And then once we've done all of that, technology is taking care of its stuff, and we're enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
And then because we're humans, we'll find a new problem.
That's right.
Or we'll develop a new problem, and then we'll find a way to solve it with as well.
With technology.
Yeah, typically. Or we'll solve it with alcohol.
I mean, you heard it here first. So you can solve every problem with technology and enough alcohol.
Unless the problem is a technical problem, and then enough alcohol might keep you from solving the technical problem.
Or if the problem is you're an alcoholic and there's not enough technology to fix that. So, then revisit our video on non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
All right, we have officially gone too far into gin. I apologize for that. But hey, you know what? We do still encourage drinking responsibly. Do not drink and drive ever. This is for your home bar.
Yes.
Home bar. So
If you go to a place and you're going to have more than 1 or 2 drinks, depending on the time you're there, definitely have yourself a designated driver. If you're going to go and play around with tech, do it. Especially while you're drinking. That makes coding and developing and networking much more fun.
yeah, it makes troubleshooting a lot harder though.
Yes.
So,
But who needs to troubleshoot if you're just having a good time?
yeah, right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's episode 4. Next week,
yes,
we
what
are
doing next
going
week?
to talk about streaming and screaming. We're going to talk about smart TVs, streaming platforms, and content overload.
Oh, okay. And so we'll probably figure out the best cocktails to drink while you're streaming
Yeah.
and screaming. We'll have cocktails that get you screaming. How about that? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
So,
My name is Joseph Reibold,
I'm Joey Ruff.
and we'll see you next time.
Till next time.